You know, I see Abraham, I see Martin, and I see John, and then you, and then you, and then you, and you, and you. And your willingness to go to the mountaintop and bring these teachings down into everyday life. That's the most important thing we do, isn't it? Not leave it on the mountaintop, but embody it right where we are. That's what we're about here. That's why we come and we come again and again and again to remember that. I think you might have a sheet. Let me sit down. We're trying to watch in the video when we do this, me bending down in front of Maureen. People going, that might not look too good in the video. There is one thing in this world that you must never forget to do. If you forget everything else and not this, there's nothing to worry about. But if you remember everything else and forget this, then you will have done nothing with your life. It is as if a king sends you to some country to do a task, and you perform 1,000 other things, but not the one thing you were sent to do. That one thing you were sent to do, no matter what your assignment, no matter how long or short it is in your spacesuit called your body, is to awaken to who you are. Today's talk is called Cosmic Amnesia. We all suffer from a forgetfulness of our divine nature. In this chapter on a different kind of near-death experience, chapter 14, in the book we're doing, Proof of Heaven, and we have a whole bunch of copies of it. It's an amazing book. He starts off with a quote from Einstein. The true value of a human being is determined primarily by the measure and the sense in which she has attained liberation from the small sense of a separate self. Course in Miracles says, child of God, you are alien here, but need not be alien to yourself. In your knowledge of yourself, big S, all threat of time and space dissolves. You still walk in an alien world, but not in a fog of amnesia that obscures the knowledge of who and what you are. We're celebrating that this weekend. Someone who awoke from the amnesia of separation to the awareness of the truth of oneness and embodied that in a world that needs it so clearly. Streets and avenues and parkways and highways are named after those of us who awaken to who we are, like Martin Luther King Drive. It's everywhere because we know that that is our potential. Jesus pointed to it with his disciples when he said to them, before Abraham was, I am that I am, and so are you. You are one self, united with your Creator, at one with every aspect of creation, and therefore you are limitless in power and peace and potential to bring this down into the everyday experiences of life here on earth. I think one of the things that excites us about a modern day prophet like is it Eben or Eben Alexander? Eben Alexander, a neurosurgeon's journey into the afterlife, Proof of Heaven, is that he's sort of a modern day prophet who had a mountaintop experience. For 7 days, his physical brain went dead. His conversation with himself ended, his little self, and the conversation with his larger self began. And it was huge, and he got a tour of our spiritual self. In my Father's house are many mansions, we said last week. Many rooms, I go and prepare a place for you, that where I am, ye may be also. He got to deal with every one of the realms. And the place where he starts off with is the underworld. You know, the basement. What he calls the worm's eye view. That's where we live a lot of the time. Let's be honest. We're crawling around on our bellies, forgetful of our divine nature, and we're doggy-dogging it. And we're stuck in our little self, thinking our self is real and so self-important. This little tiny part of us is part of us. He gets a tour of that place first. That's where you begin at the base chakra. Sensation, security, and power trips. You gotta deal with that stuff and not be afraid to let your tour guide show you of a way to be lifted up out of that awareness. And do you remember the movie by Robin Williams called What Dreams May Come?
Yes.
Do you remember when he's walking on top of heads? People who are stuck in tremendous suffering. Do you remember that part? He experiences that in this barber realm. And what he knows is that even in the midst of that worm's eye view, there's an opportunity for every one of these beings to get unstuck. All they need to do is be lifted up. God doesn't hold anyone in eternal punishment. God, no, that's the old punishing God. All you need to do to get out of your old thought, word, deed, and habit patterns is ask for help. And the help will come. And so he's in the middle of the worst kind of cosmic amnesia, as Martin Luther King was, as Gandhi was, as Jesus was, and he brings forth the awareness of oneness and becomes, for us in many ways, that new tour guide that's guiding us to higher levels of conscious connection with Spirit. And the thing that he says in the book so clearly, that I just love that we say every week here, is that no matter how hard you try to tear yourself apart from God, you cannot do it. Isn't that good news? You cannot be separate from the source of love. No way. You can only dream yourself separate from the source, but you cannot be separate from God. Not even for 1 second. Even the worst lowly form of consciousness and unconsciousness doesn't separate you from God. Only your own mind does that. And because you made that choice to disconnect from it, you gotta choose to be lifted up out of it. Yeah? That's our work while we are here in all the different embodiments that we've had, to be lifted up. And so here's this neuroscientist. He has a worm's eye view. The brain is the center of consciousness. You take in certain thought, word, and deed, and habit patterns, you feed them into your little teeny brain, and it gets all filled up, and 10 billion neurons, they fire, and it creates a tapestry in the memory, and it appears as if what you're seeing is real, but you're just a computer. And once the computer goes dead, you're gone. Well, his computer goes dead. His brain goes dead. And when his brain goes dead, he enters into a new life. And the life he discovers is unbelievable. And he comes back down into a body on earth, as we all have to come back down to a body on earth. So I get the sense, I love the cross. You know, I love that image of the cross, where you have this sense of separate self in the horizontal. And that's what I feel like I am most of the time. It's honest. It's all about little Richard and his self and his hungers, his wants, his needs, his desires, the little self that we all inhabit while we're here. But then there are moments, and Evan had that moment, where he is transported out of a separate self into the vertical, to his whole holy self. You have those moments, haven't you? Those moments sometimes when you're giving a blessing, you're not even there. It's happening through you. Boom! All of a sudden, you're there. He has that moment. And he has it for 7 days. Comes back with a ton of information. But guess what? Oh, isn't it sad? He has to come back into a body again. Oh, gosh. Darn it. I wish I could stay in the higher planes of consciousness. He says, now I'm stuck back on earth. And I remember my bodily identity, the name that he lost, the identity as being a neurosurgeon, a father, all those things were gone. Now they're back. He's got a wife again. He's got a job again. But the seed of his trans-earthly knowledge has once again been covered over. And yet he's still there. That presence is still there. I can feel it in every moment, in every turn. And here's the work, the practice, practice, practice. It will take years in this earthly environment to come to fruition. That is, it will take me years to understand, using my mortal material brain, what I understood so instantly and easily in the brain-free realms of the world beyond. Yet I'm confident that with hard work on my part, much of the knowledge that I gained there will be manifested on earth. He says the physical side of the universe is a speck of dust compared to the invisible and spiritual part. I had a foretaste of another larger kind of knowledge. One, I believe human beings will access to even larger numbers now and in the future. But conveying that knowledge, I love this now, is like being a chimpanzee, becoming a human for one single day to experience all the wonders of human knowledge, then returning to your chimp friends and trying to tell them what it was like to know several Romance languages, the calculus, and the immense scale of the universe. Have you ever had that difficulty trying to explain what unity is to your chimpanzee friends? You know what I'm saying? I go, oh, it's about oneness and wholeness, and everybody goes, what are you talking about? And by that way, it's not those chimpanzees and monkeys you're dealing with. It's your own monkey mind in you that you're dealing with. It's not them, not there. It's you right here. I had a transcendent experience of oneness on Tuesday morning. It was one of those meditations where I really felt the divine presence just coming over me in the vertical as existence, consciousness of bliss. And these hand motions came to me. I am loved and cherished. Dearly and forever, our mantra in the book. I am loved, my crown chakra. I am cherished. Dearly and forever. And it wasn't just words, but a sense of deep connection to the presence. You've had those, haven't you? This was so powerful. And then the horizontal calls, and there's someone at the door. It's the guy who's going to put in our dishwasher. And he's there to do the dishwasher. So he comes in, and I'm seeing him, and I'm going, do you know that you are loved and cherished dearly and forever? Hello, my name is Richard. I didn't say that, but that's where I was. In oneness. In oneness. He comes in and he bends down to look at my dishwasher, and he's not there but about a minute and a half, and he says to me, I can't take this dishwasher out because of this cabinet, this stupid Korean counter. You need to cut the whole counter a half inch, and I don't do that. He starts getting up and leaving. I'm thinking, this guy's not going to be part of my solution. He doesn't want to help me out to oneness, wholeness, and completeness. I just have a feeling he just wants to get out of here. And so literally, we call somebody on the phone, he says, you got to get a cabinet cut. He's walking out the door, he hasn't been there 15 minutes, and as he's leaving, he goes, do you want me to leave the dishwasher in the garage? I said, well, yeah, I'd like to have it put in sometime by someone. Leaves his phone number and leaves. And I'm not feeling like existence, consciousness, and bliss at this moment. I've gone from heavy, heart, open mind chakra right down to the worm's eye view, and I just get down on my knees and I take a look at what looked like an impossible situation. What I see is 2 clamps and 4 screws. Just 2 clamps and 4 screws. 2 on the counter and 2 on the dishwasher. I take out the 4 screws. I lift the lid up a little teeny bit, and out comes the dishwasher. This guy didn't have the time or the patience to just pick it up and move it out, so I need help because I'm a chimpanzee. I call help in the form of Alan Held. Because Alan can do anything, fix anything, and I want to make sure that I'm not blowing smoke, that it really is to be taken out. And Alan comes over at the end of the day after work, and he comes in, he goes, yeah, you could, yeah, I'll come right out, no problem, we can do that. And I'm giving him my riot act about what went on. Alan won't have any of it. He's my tour guide at that moment. And if you know Alan, you know Alan does this. When Alan gets in your face, he grabs you and he gets in your face. He goes, Richard, what an amazing opportunity you have to bless this organization. You're going to help them see where they need to make changes so they can offer better service to all the people. You're going to be a wake-up call. And I'm thinking, this guy is an angel. I'm now in the lobby. I've been lifted up to a new way of being. I'm not at the mountaintop yet, but I'm no longer stuck in the worm's eye view. Do you hear that? Do you feel that? That's the kind of help that comes when we need it. That's how our tour guides show up in all different forms and ways, telling you something, inviting you to see things differently, having a shift in consciousness, to see things differently. The same situation exists. Someone else will put the dishwasher in. Next week I'll be moaning and whining about something else. But that's life. That's what we have here. It's not all heaven, it's also earth, and dealing with the things that are yours to deal with. That's what we're here for. Let's go to a lesson summation for a moment, and I'll stop screaming and spitting at you. Now remember now, there is one thing in this world that you must never forget. If you get everything else done, all the dishwashers in, all the relationships healed, all the money you want, everything you want, but forget who you truly are, then it's as if you've done nothing. So we don't want to do that, do we? Not that we can't have great relationships, have lots of money, and have all the stuff that we need to be about the business of remembering why we're here. So the true value, and we're a true value ministry, by the way. Don't you love that? We're a true value hardware store right here. Right? We give you the hard facts about how you can awaken. That was good. The true value of a human being is determined primarily by the measure and the sense in which you've attained liberation from the self, the small self, the monkey mind, the gorilla in the midst. It's still there, but you have a relationship with it. Child of God, you are alien here, but need not be alien to yourself. In your knowledge of yourself, big self, all threat of time and space dissolves. You may still walk in an alien land, but not in the fog of amnesia that obscures the knowledge of who and what you are. Let's go to the next slide, please. Thank you. Practice these 4 different wake-up calls this week. Remember, the false suspicion that we can somehow be separated from God is the root of every form of anxiety in the universe. And it also provides the key for awakening. There's nothing that can tear you apart from God. Please, nothing. There's nothing you can do wrong. God will never punish you. You punish yourself. Our only problem is feeling separate from love. When you find yourself crawling around, as you will, on the basement floor, stuck in a worm's eye view of the world, call for the help that can lift you up to a great perspective. Point number 3. The physical side of the universe is a speck of dust compared to the invisible and spiritual part. At any one moment, we can access our own higher power and receive all the information we need to solve any problem. Remember, these teachings are dishwasher safe and will remove all of your current illusions. So I have a formula that I've served you today. Somebody read to me what this says on there. Read out nice and loud.
Spiritual milk of magnesia.
Spiritual milk of magnesia to awaken you from your cosmic amnesia. It only takes a little bit of taste, right? You got a belly that's aching, you know, feeling separate. 'Cause when you feel the basement, worm's eye view, you feel it in your belly. When fear comes up, you just take a little bit of spiritual magnesia, served to me by Alan Held at this particular part of the week. Some days it'll be somebody else, and just take a little bit of a taste. Oh, a spoonful of awakening helps the world come to clarity. You take it down. What a great gift. You awaken to who you are, and then guess what you're called upon to do? Become a dispenser of the truth that awakens us to who we are. That's why we are here, to wake up to love and remember our oneness with everyone and everything. Don't be fooled by appearances. You are the beloved in whom Spirit is well pleased. Now go and share this awakening formula with others.